Good afternoon, Charm City. Welcome to the first ever Shoebox Parade hosted by Baltimore City Recreation and Parks. This historic day celebrates the life and accomplishments of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., an influential American civil rights leader. Our first float is by CAMRYN, age 5. His theme is Dancing with the Stars. CAMRYN says, "My float shows me dancing with Judith Jamison and Misty Copeland, who are two of my favorite dancers. I use popsicle sticks, people, felt, and glitter to make my float." Thanks so much, CAMRYN. One of the things I love about Baltimore is our dance culture. It's one of the many ways our city is unique. Next up, we have a float by EVELYN, age 6. Her float theme is church sit-ins. EVELYN says, "I learned that Martin Luther King organized sit-ins as a peaceful way to talk about ways to stop the ways that Black people were being treated in 1960. Sit-ins became very popular and other people started to hold their own. Some people were mad about the sit-ins and Black people were attacked and arrested. Today, Black people are still being arrested for peacefully protesting." Thanks for sharing what you learned, EVELYN. Yes, as Americans, it is our right to protest and hold demonstrations that uplift the equality and rights of our citizens. Next up, we have a float by NORA, age 6. She calls her float Spread Love. "My float is about love. Martin Luther King Jr. chose to spread love, not hate. Martin Luther King Jr. was kind to other people and cared about everybody. His love spread to others, which is why there are hearts and wings on my float." That's a great message, Nora, and as we think about caring for our neighbors, let's also remember that part of that is making sure we don't spread our cooties. As our wise mayor said, pull your mask up. Next up, we have a float by EVELYN, age 8. She calls her float Shine for Dreams. EVELYN says, "My float honors the dreams that Martin Luther King made come true by helping other people. Martin Luther King Jr. brought people together to make Black and white people friends and family. Shining on is a tribute to Martin Luther King for helping dreams come true. Thank you, Martin Luther King, for bringing happiness." Thanks so much, EVELYN. Another great message. And as we think about that message, what can you do, big or small, to make your dreams of your neighbors and friends come true? And next we have a float by Ella, age 9. She calls her float I Have a Dream. Ella says, "I learned that Martin Luther King started fighting for equal rights in around 1955. Martin Luther King gave his famous I Have a Dream speech in 1963. During this time, people were protesting to have jobs and end segregation rules. This fight for equal rights that Martin Luther King fought for still continues today." Thanks for sharing, Ella. Did you know that the famous words "I have a dream" were not pre-planned? Martin Luther King improvised that during his speech in Washington. Certainly a poetic testament to his passion for the civil rights movement. And coming on down the road, we have Jennifer, age 9. She calls her float Black Lives Matter. Jennifer says, "The Black Lives Matter movement protests police brutality of Black people. Too many Black people are being killed by police officers. During 2020, I attended a protest to fight for justice. Today's protests are slightly different from the protests during the mid to late 1900s. Today we fight for the police officers who are killing unarmed Black people to be arrested. While researching for the Shoebox Project, I learned that the fight for equal rights started 100 years ago and continues, which is very upsetting and sad." Thanks for sharing, Jennifer. It's really great that at such a young age, you're participating in our country's democracy and standing up for your friends and neighbors. Kids like you are who continue to make this city so charming. And next up, we have a float by Alex, age 27. The float theme is Billie Holiday. Alex says, "This float is a tribute to Baltimore's very own Billie Holiday. It features her iconic mural on Durham Street in Fells Point. signature magnolia flowers, and a gorgeous photo of her strolling down Pennsylvania Avenue in Upton. Baltimore has been home to many fantastic musicians over the ages, but for me, Billie takes the cake. Thanks so much for participating, Alex. That's a great float. And last but not least, we have a float by Delaney, age 29. The float's theme is Garrett Morgan. Delaney says, Garrett Morgan created the first 3-signal stoplight in 1925. I think it's important to recognize the contributions that inventors have in our day-to-day lives. Thanks, Delaney. That's a great thing to think about as we go about our day-to-day. Thank you, Baltimore, for tuning in, and keep an eye out for more virtual events like this that Baltimore City Recreation and Parks holds. We hope that you have a great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day.